This presentation tells the story of Georges Hoentschel, collector, dealer, and decorator, and of his impact on the collecting of decorative arts in America. Born in 1855 in Paris, Georges Hoentschel was well acquainted with the world of the decorating and upholstery trades. Georges was exposed to craft and business practices from an early age, growing up in the house of his mother's cousin, Ernest Lace, who directed the upholstery and interior firm Maison Lace. Founded in the early 19th century by Pierre-Jean Lace, Maison Lace had prominent clients, including members of the French aristocracy. After the upheaval of the Franco-Prussian War and the violent and destructive civil unrest during the Commune in the early 1870s, France entered a period of relative calm and growing prosperity. It was during this time that Maison Lace rose to prominence, providing interior decoration and design for a newly wealthy international clientele. The grandeur of the French past was often alluded to by the members of the aspirational classes, the nouveau riche, who sought the material symbols of more established wealth and status. Hoentschel seized the opportunities of this time through a diverse range of activities: decorator, designer, ceramist, collector, and entrepreneur. He not only designed new interiors in 18th century styles and preserved important French historic monuments, but also worked as a contemporary artist, embracing the forward-looking style known as the Art Nouveau. Paris, at the end of the 19th century, was a bustling metropolis. Starting in the 1860s, Baron Haussmann created a series of broad boulevards in Paris. The grand boulevards opened up the streets of the center that had become crowded with carriages and pedestrians as the city's population expanded. Maison Lace was located close to the center of Paris on the Place de la Madeleine, with workshops and storerooms nearby on the Cité du Retiro. As Paris's population grew, new residential neighborhoods arose in the western quadrant of the city, where members of the affluent society of the Third Republic created opulent mansions. Paris claimed its position as the world capital for the arts and luxury trades, with workshops and galleries like Maison Lace centered around the Place de la Concorde and Rue Royale. During the 19th century, Paris hosted several international expositions that crystallized its reputation for luxury and innovation in design and the arts. Art exhibitions organized in purpose-built structures were one of the main attractions during the expositions. At the 1878 exposition, the newly built Trocadero Palace featured an influential art exhibition of both European and Japanese works. The fashion of Japonisme swept the art world and left a lasting impression on Hoentschel's own designs, especially in stoneware. The Eiffel Tower opposite the Trocadero Palace is one of the most enduring structures from the Universal Exposition of 1889. Constructed entirely of steel, it was built to celebrate the centenary of the French Revolution and to herald a new era of industrial development. When Georges Hoentschel's cousin Ernest died unexpectedly in 1892, Hoentschel became head of the decorating business. His loft-like storerooms on the Cité du Retiro were filled with the historic paneling, furniture, fragments, and art objects that served as inspiration for his decorating projects. In 1899, he married the much younger Antoinette de Zaille, known as Toinon, an artist from a bourgeois family in Troyes. At home in Paris, the Hoentschels indulged in the busy life of the French capital. The couple took their place among the Parisian beau monde, with Hoentschel participating in leisure activities such as riding, golf, yachting, and fencing. He owned an early motor car, a 1902 Panhard Levasseur, another mark of his growing success. Hoentschel's wife joined him on business trips abroad, traveling as far as Spain, Russia, and the United States. The couple's daughter, Françoise, was born in 1901, followed in 1902 by a son, Jean-Claude. As the family grew, the Hoentschels moved to a new property acquired at the western outskirts of the city, near the Bois de Boulogne, in 1903. He also moved his study collections of woodwork and carved fragments, furniture, and sculpture to the upper floor of a building on Boulevard Flandrin, adjacent to his home. Hoentschel carefully staged the display of his collection of fragments in a unique and systematic manner, It was referred to as a private museum at the time. On the lower floor of the Boulevard Flandrin Gallery, he displayed his growing collection of medieval sculpture, woodwork, enamels, and textiles. At the Exposition Universelle in 1900, Hoentschel created and sponsored a pavilion for the Union Centrale des Arts Décoratifs, which promoted French design for an international audience. A tour de force of Art Nouveau, the central Salon du Bois used the theme of vigorous growth and the transformation of natural forms and materials. The adjacent Salle de la Céramique showed Hoentschel's own designs for small pots and monumental stoneware. Hoentschel's ceramics were influenced by the work of his close friend, the sculptor-potter Jean-Joseph Carriez. After the untimely death of Carriez in 1894, Hoentschel bought his workshop and began to produce pottery under his own name. In 1904, the Salon du Bois from the 1900 exposition was installed in the French Pavilion at the World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. Hoentschel traveled with his wife to the fair as a representative of the Department of Applied Arts of the French government. In 1905, shortly after returning to Paris, Toinon died at the age of 25. Germaine Desailles, Toinon's younger sister, became the caretaker of Hoentschel's young children. It was during a visit to Hoentschel's showroom at the Boulevard Flandrin in 1906 that the American financier and collector J.P. Morgan saw the collections of 18th century furniture and medieval art and decided to acquire them for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Before the collection was dismantled for shipment to New York, photographs were made to document the inventory and the method of presentation, which inspired the installation of the collection at the Metropolitan Museum. In 1911, Georges Hoentschel once more crossed the Atlantic to visit New York. At the Metropolitan Museum, he viewed his collections, which in 1910 had been installed to great critical acclaim in a purpose-built wing of decorative arts designed by the architect Stanford White. Hoentschel died unexpectedly at the age of 60 in 1915. The Hoentschel collection was the foundation of the Department of Decorative Arts at the Metropolitan Museum and remained on display until the 1950s, when a large part of the 18th century pieces were removed and put into storage. Some of them are again on view for the first time in decades at the Bard Graduate Center's 2013 exhibition, Salvaging the Past, Georges Hoentschel and French Decorative Arts from the Metropolitan Museum of Art.